Hello, welcome to week 4. This week we are focusing on creating curriculum. Now I know it seems like that should be what this whole course is about, and it is curriculum development. But this week we're really going to dive into more of the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty of doing it. So we're going to cover things like how to know your students, backward design, and accountability. So be sure you download your week 4 assignment. And if you have any questions along the way, you can post them in the general questions and thoughts form and we can address them together. Okay, our goals for this week are to be able to describe backward design as an approach to creating curriculum, to be able to analyze a unit plan for elements of backward design, and be able to synthesize methods and reasons for knowing your students. And the questions that are guiding our learning are, when you hear the term backward design, what do you think of? What are the essential components of planning a unit of learning? And why is it important to continually engage in knowing your students? And what are at least 3 methods of getting to know your students and curating what you learn about them? We're going to be talking about ways to know your students, but I definitely don't cover everything that is out there on it. So it's good here at the beginning of the week for you to think about what are some ways that maybe you've used in the past or that you've experienced as a student in that. And then of course, we always cycle back around to these questions at the end of the week, so you can add to that. So the readings this week are first to be able to read the Danielson chapter 4, domain 1, planning and preparation. And as you read this, really attend to components 1B and 1E, as those are really centered on what we're looking at this week. Then you'll read the Tomlinson chapter 3. This is focusing on the needs of students in a differentiated classroom. Here, you really want to be paying attention to how we can hold a strength-based model of understanding of our students versus a deficit model. And again, be sure you take a look at the study guide, choose one of those questions to answer in your weekly assignment. The second activity you have for this week is viewing a video series that I created on creating curriculum. And it goes over this overview of creating curriculum, which involves backward design, the role of student interest, their entry points, standards, accountability, and all within knowing your students. And so I have created a PowerPoint notes version that you can print and write on. Some people like to do that. And then I have 4 videos that go over the different parts in this series. Now, in those videos, I will reference a lot of resources, and those are part of all the rest of the activities for this week. So as you're watching those videos, you might think, oh, I want to go look at that resource. Well, they're all here in the exploration section of these other activities. Okay, so the first activity that is activity number 3 here is exploring methods for getting to know your students. So it's pretty self-explanatory. We'll have already talked about them in the video series. So be sure you explore those resources. And then activity 4 talks about anecdotal record keeping. So as we're learning about our students, we need to keep records of what we're learning in ways that will be helpful for us. And so here are a bunch of resources for that. And then we dive into the backward design approach to designing curriculum. So there's a couple of resources here and a video series that I think is really succinct and informative. I was excited to find these videos because they really matched my processes, and I was like, okay, these are great. I'm glad somebody's made these. So that's great. Activity 5 focuses on finding students' entry points, which I talk about in the video series. And activity 6 is resources for links to standards. And then, of course, activity 7 is our weekly discussions. They do take place Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so be sure you participate in those. And then we close our week out by integrating what we've learned, thinking about how you might apply at least two things, what you've learned about creating curriculum. And then the resolution is where you return back to those questions at the beginning of the week and kind of add on to them or think more extensively about them. The only assignment due this week is week 4 assignment. All right, that's our overview of week 4. And I hope you enjoy kind of diving into the nuts and bolts of starting to actually create curriculum. It's pretty fun.